They're not attacking me anymore because Mike wants to overturn the 2020 election. They're attacking me because they want to keep these computers in our election.
All right, I'm going to show you something that's a little bit depressing on a couple of different counts. It's really sad to see what's happened to Dr. Drew, and it's really sad to see what's happened to Mike Lindell, aka MyPillow. Now, for those of you who don't know who Dr. Drew is, Dr. Drew Pinsky, I grew up listening to a radio show called Loveline with Drew Pinsky and Adam Carolla, kind of before they both went off the rails. And I met Dr. Drew at Politicon a few years ago, had a nice conversation, and he really seems to have gone completely off the rails. Now, at the same time, MyPillow, aka Mike Lindell, who's been a guest on this program, he also seems to really be struggling in some way. And I'm going to play some clips that they did a long form interview. There's almost too much to look at here, so we won't look at all of it. But when this sort of thing happens, what do we make of it? How did these two individuals end up in this situation? Here is Pillow telling Dr. Drew, this is the sort of victimhood complex that's almost a requirement of the modern right wing at this point. MyPillow tells Dr. Drew that his company is one of the most attacked in the country's history. And he really gets into what I think we must call paranoid delusions at this point in time. Look at how sad this is.
The most attacked company in the history of the world is MyPillow. My employees sit here all the time and they have to worry, are we going to have a company tomorrow? Because they're relentless, all because their CEO wants to go to paper ballots, hand count it, and secure our...
And remember that there are reports that a lot of MyPillow employees are actually horrified by the stuff that Mike Lindell is doing, which is jeopardizing their jobs.
Elections here in the United States. They're not attacking me anymore because Mike wants to overturn the 2020 election. They're attacking me because they want to keep these computers in our elections and they don't want to go to paper ballots. And it's a shame. This is an employee-owned company. I just happen to have the most shares.
Right.
And but God's getting us through, and if they thought it would stop me from talking, they were very much wrong. When they attacked me after the 2020 election and I lost all the box stores, I didn't change. I'm the same transparent person I was when I told the whole world, hey, I was a crack addict. I want to help people that were on it. I want to use something bad for good. God uses all things for good.
Yeah.
I didn't change. What changed was I was revealed to me things in this country that needed to be fixed, or we're going to lose the American dream that and I've lived it. I have lived it more than you can ever imagine. And we don't want to lose that for the future of our great kids, grandkids.
So Dr. Drew just kind of nodding along with Pillow's paranoid delusions there. A really fascinating moment is when Pillow goes into wacky COVID stuff and a disclaimer comes up on the screen, which basically just says like, hey, some of these things may not be medically sound, check with your doctor sort of stuff. And it's really kind of weird because on the one hand, Dr. Drew is like doing ads for hydroxychloroquine on his show, but at the same time, they are putting up a disclaimer on Pillow. I don't know, like, who's scamming who here? Who is really the grifter? Is it Dr. Drew or is it Pillow? Take a listen to this.
The first time MyPillow was attacked was the summer of 2020, not with the election stuff. It was attacked with, I had a supplement that worked on the China virus. And I put all my money into that. And then instead, Pfizer.
So Dr. Drew's nodding. Now watch for the disclaimer.
Not Pfizer, at the FDA turned.
And there it is. So the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen as Pillow is ranting. Just think of how insane this is. Pillow's ranting about bogus COVID cures. Dr. Drew is nodding. But then at the bottom of the screen, it says portions of this program may examine countervailing views on important medical issues and the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic.
On me, they wouldn't let me give it out. I was going to give it out free. I had $10 million worth. I borrowed money to buy it all. They stopped it here in the U.S. Then they stopped.
And then it adds, always consult your physician before making decisions about your health.
At me getting it into Israel when they made a dirty deal with Pfizer. Then they stopped me to get it into the Philippines. They stopped me to get it in Brazil. That was to give it away and save lives. Now, we used it here at MyPillow. We never had to shut down.
Right.
So there was blessings that saved lives.
And remember, the reason MyPillow didn't have to shut down is because you basically could just keep going to work with COVID.
But millions of dollars on the product that became outdated. And it was, I'm still fighting the IRS and audits over that. And, but this is it.
I'm going to ask you a real question here. Dr. Drew is a psychiatrist. he has to, as whatever his political views are at this point, he has to know that something is very wrong with Mike Pillow, right? Like, there's no planet on which Dr. Drew doesn't realize this is a very sick guy in the middle of absolutely serious paranoid delusions. Here's Pillow then talking about the deep state and globalists.
I can look at people's behavior since 2015, 16, all the way through COVID as sort of this mass formation, hysteria, delusion. And it seems like this one guy, Donald Trump, creates this tremendous reaction in people. It's just really, I don't, I'm sort of neutral. And so, so I can see these reactions. I go, what is that? And so A, what is that? And then B, what's coming after you? It seems organized from somewhere.
Right.
What are your
God, I may be, Dr. Drew may be fueling the delusions, actually. This is really bad.
Theories, or do you know?
It's very organized, everybody. And like I said earlier in the show, I didn't even know I was an ex-crack addict. I had never voted in my life. I didn't know a Democrat from a Republican. I didn't know what a liberal or conservative. I didn't know a filibuster from a millibuster. I was invited in August of 2016 to go meet Donald Trump in a divine appointment. It's in my book. If you want to find out how I met Donald Trump, He invited me to come and meet him. It was just him and I in a room. He had no agenda, everybody, other than this. He asked me, Mike, I want to bring manufacturing back into the U.S., like MyPillow. How is it going? He asked my opinion on that. And then also they said, now, whatever you do, don't tell Mr. Trump that you were an ex-crack addict. I walked in that room, and one of the first things I said was, I was an ex-crack addict. And I kind of looked at him, and he goes, and I said, I got this Lindell Recovery Network I'm setting up. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to shut down that border and stop the...
All right. Anyway, so this is like really, really wacky stuff. And then lastly, here's a kind of interesting moment where Pillow is asked about how paranoid the drugs used to make him, which is interesting because he's so paranoid now.
After I met Donald Trump in the summer of 2016, met him for the first time, he invited me there to... just as a businessman, asking me about, doing manufacturing here in the U.S. Well, I came back to Minnesota and I did a press release saying, hey, this presidential candidate, I met with him. I didn't even tell him what it was for. And the media attacked me. And one of the things they said was they said I was a drug dealer. Now, at that time, I'm going, what? And we made him do a retraction. And the way I did the retraction was I wasn't a drug dealer. In fact, I did so many drugs that I tried to rid the city of Minneapolis by doing them all, But I never dealt a drug in my life. I just did them all, So, and there was that kind of transparency with the media. That's where that started.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the cops got to have a sense of when people are lying or when they're not, because they're lied to all the time. They certainly used to hearing lies, especially from addicts. And and I wonder how paranoid the cocaine got you, because crack boy, you start to get real preoccupied about cops. So I'm surprised you could talk to him. It's even sober a little bit at that point.
Remember, I had slept for a day, but I did. In my book, I talk about, I was a very functioning addict for 2 decades before crack. It was cocaine,
so you
alcohol,
don't,
and everyone cracked.
We don't really get an answer about the paranoia, but it's a really weird interview because on the one hand, Dr. Drew is an expert in addiction medicine to a degree. And you would think he would obviously recognize the paranoid state in which Pillow exists permanently. On the other hand, he seems to talk to him about it as if that paranoid phase is some kind of time of the past or something like that. It's a bizarre interview. It's a little bit of the blind leading the blind, for lack of a better term. And part of me wonders if this is just a character Dr. Drew has started playing because of the people that are funding him. I honestly don't know. But it's a very sad thing to see. It is time to start thinking like voters and to make sure that kids understand the importance of voting, how it works, registering, ballot initiatives, because so many kids just have no idea. That's why I wrote the new children's book, Think Like a Voter. I can think of no better time and no more important group of folks to try to reach The book is now available at davidpakman.com/book, where, by the way, you can get the first 2 books in the series as well. Think Like a Detective and Think Like a Scientist. Really important stuff. Donate them to local libraries, classrooms, read them with the kids. davidpakman.com/book.